All right, Big Blue Nation, we did it. Well, we didn't do it. Kentucky did it, but they got the first win in the NCAA tournament of the Mark Pope era. Had to get that monkey off his back. Did it? There was a little bit of a slight scare in the first half, if we're being honest. I don't think Jack took a breath for about 10 minutes of the game as Troy kept it close, even getting to 25-4. Then Kentucky went on a big run, went up before the half, and at halftime pulled away, winning by 19 points. Everyone breathe, exhale, let it out. Let's smile. It was very uncomfortable before the game. I didn't think I'd be nervous, but once we got here and it tipped off, the nerves kicked in. I think lots of fans around the arena felt the same way. I believe these two did as well. But like I said, they pulled away, winning by 19. Otega Oweh with a big night, 20 points. Andrew Carr, Kobe Bray, and Brandon Garrison, of all people, each added 13. 9 from Colin Chandler off the bench. Pretty versatile effort, well-rounded by everyone. But let's start with that first half. Got a little touch and go there. Troy went up first. Their 29% shooter busted a 3 to start the game, like people do. Troy hung around as Lamont Butler couldn't finish a layup, some sloppy turnovers, some missed threes. But then we get to about the 3-minute mark when Mountain Mamba checked in, busted a 3 from the corner, sparking the game-changing run, the kill shot they call it, a 10-0 run. We went Trent Noah 3, straight into an Andrew Carr 3, and then the play of the game, Amari Williams goes coast to coast, dunks all over Troy's face. Then a Kobe Bray 3 makes it a 10-0 run. We didn't really look back from there. Jack, I'll start with you. You were, again, maybe a little tense. We've talked about many times your NCAA tournament runs haven't gone great since you've started on this job, but you're smiling. Why don't you just let out a big scream? Shout, we're outside. Woo! There it is. How about it, Jack?
Man, imagine being scared. Like, Troy, are we kidding me? Troy? 14 seed Troy? Who? I couldn't imagine having nerves before this game and not thinking that Kentucky was going to steamroll. It was such a relief. Like, the 6 early in the game, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, please, I can't have the stats of 3 years and 3 or 4 years first round exit. I couldn't handle it. And then that Mountain Mamba moment, I was just like, wait, I think we might be okay. And then Colin Chandler explodes in the second half. It was a really good, feel good, get that monkey off Mark Pope's back. A lot of talk about that in the locker room. Just kind of doing it for him and being able to just kind of, all right, now that narrative is out of the way. Can he win the big one in March? Get that one out of the way. Now it's time to focus on the real run and what comes ahead. Very, very good, feel-good night here in Milwaukee.
Certainly feels good. Tyler, you were at the press conference. Yeah. You actually asked Mark Pope about getting the first win. Some of the players commented on that. What were your takeaways from the post-game scene?
Yeah, I mean, Pope typically kind of deferred when I asked him about that. He's like, this is about something much, much bigger than me. But he had a great line earlier. So Brandon Garrison was at the podium talking about how the players really wanted to do this for Pope. I'm sure you heard a lot of that in the locker room. And Pope kind of joked. He's like, yeah, BG can stop calling me the Big Zero now. So apparently that was his nickname. But no, it's just great. And we talked about beforehand, the players wouldn't be nearly as nervous about this as fans. And I think that's true to some extent. But they did seem a little tight early on, and it was really nice when they finally got within, comfortable lead in the second half, and they showed him on the Jumbotron. Mark Pope finally cracked a smile, and it was like, phew, we're going to make it to Sunday. Pope's got his first NCAA tournament win as Kentucky's coach. That's got to feel awesome, even if he won't admit it right now. So, I mean, it's just great. It feels really good. We get to stick around. We don't have to drive home and fly home. I know. So, all around, awesome night.
It was uncomfortable for 15 minutes. If not for Otega Oweh and Andrew Carr, they had 18 of the first 21 points. I think Oweh made 4 of his first 5 shots. He was getting downhill. But outside of those 2, before that 10-0 run, Jack, offense wasn't looking good. Amari actually hit Lamont with a great pass, about a half-court bounce pass, has a wide-open layup, just couldn't get the layup to fall. It just felt like things were off, except for Oweh getting buckets.
It was a rock fight. It was really weird, and it just had that, March, things get tight. You just hear those things in the back of the head. These types of offenses that come to a screeching halt during March, and it's not a sustainable style of play once we get to these types of games. All those just kind of keep crashing back in your head of like, oh, please, just don't give us this. And then it just feels like, Mark Pope talked in the preseason. I remember saying, this is a team that they can go 4 minutes without scoring and then fire off a 10-0 run, hit a couple big threes, and then it's game over. And it really did have that vibe, especially there in the second half. It just felt like once things clicked, it was like, oh, yeah, they are a 14 seed for a reason. Let's treat them like a 14 seed. It was just a very cool getting, the other random guys stepping up, Brandon Garrison, Colin Chandler, and not just the usual suspects. It was just a really, really dominant.
With Jackson Robinson being out, we knew the bench would have to step up. 25 bench points tonight. 4 threes off the bench, if I'm not mistaken. Colin Chandler had 2. Brandon Garrison had 1. And then Trent Noah hit Trent Noah hit the big 3, like I said, to get it started. So when you're getting 25 points off the bench, 4 threes, I feel like you're in a good place. Did anyone, Colin Chandler especially in the second half, I think most of his points came in the second half. You got to be proud of all those guys.
Well, yeah, and I think it was Colin Chandler and Brandon Garrison that led that 15-0 run that kind of pushed Kentucky into more comfortable territory. And who would have guessed that before the game? I thought it was also really cool that Pope brought Colin Chandler, Brandon Garrison, and Otega Owe to the podium with him. All those guys could be back at Kentucky next year. That's kind of like a sign for the future, promising sign for the future.
There's this Milwaukee wind.
I know, man, it's brutal, but I'm ready to enjoy it for 2 more days. But I thought Pope had a really good quote. You know, we haven't talked about Lamont Butler much yet. He clearly is still really bothered by that shoulder. He didn't score a single point tonight. Pope didn't speak about Butler specifically, but he said this team is just kind of in shambles right now. They're just like kind of duct taped together, and they're just running on their love for each other and just their desire to win. So it's a really gutsy win and would not have happened without the bench points, I think.
It's good seeing Butler out there, but 0 for 5, some bad turnovers. He just didn't look like himself. I don't know how much is the shoulder, how much was just having a bad night, but that's got to be a little concerning as we'll step up in competition. We'll figure out between Illinois and Xavier. They're going right now. Jack, the crowd wasn't what we're used to. The ones here tried to get the Go Big Blues going, but if we're being honest, there were more Illinois fans at tonight's Kentucky-Troy game than Kentucky fans when we're used to seeing Big Blue take over these cities.
I need Xavier to win this game like air. I was shocked. I mean, there was so much orange in that building. Like, yeah, enough blue. Like, it was an impressive performance for Kentucky fans, for the ones that were there. But, I mean, it was 60, 65, 70% Illinois fans in there. So I hope that we get a late arriving Sunday crowd for BBN. Maybe Mark Pope's going to pay a little bit more gas money. I don't know, whatever it's going to take. But we need to fill this building up, and it cannot be loaded with Illinois fans.
If you want to make the trip, SeatGeek will pay 10% of your ticket price. If you've been watching these a while, we've been sponsored by SeatGeek. They've been taking good care of Big Blue fans with promo code KSR10. Get 10% off your ticket purchases. We don't just need you to get here to Milwaukee. We're begging you to get here to Milwaukee for Sunday's game. I am very concerned what that will look like if it is Illinois, but check that out. If you can't make it, maybe go to the women's game. They advanced, had to sweat that one out a little bit. Maybe go to concerts, go to whatever. Just go to SeatGeek, put in promo code KSR10. They got 70,000 events year-wide on there. Surely you can find something you can attend, but make sure you get that 10% off. So we're moving on. Feels good to get the one out of the way. As you mentioned, we prefer Illinois. Do we have any feel for how this game would go? I know we didn't get to see much of it because it's just now starting. But anybody other than the crowd, as far as a matchup, do you have any strong thoughts about Illinois or Xavier?
There are a lot of storyline things with Orlando Antigua and Will Riley and Big Z's brother. It's a fun, easy for our jobs, but I'm taking Xavier all day, every day. I'm hoping that that's how this unfolds. Xavier, we're talking the quick turnaround with their first 4 game and getting here, traveling here. I just don't know how much gas they have in the tank, so I'm really, that's a long week for that team. So I'm hoping that they have just enough gas in the tank, Milwaukee, Mark Pope joke intended, to just kind of get to the finish line, and then hopefully we can take care of business on Sunday and advance to my very first Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited for you. This is Pope City, Milwaukee. I guess he's probably going to go to Cops and get some custard tomorrow. Tyler, what do we have tomorrow? We got some press conferences. Let them know what to stay tuned for before Sunday's game. We'll find out the time on that here later tonight.
Kentucky's press conferences start about 3:15 Central Time, so we'll be here for that. We'll be covering that. We'll be covering the press conferences from the winner of this game. Unfortunately, Arkansas versus St. John's tips off at 1:40 this time, meaning we may have to miss the very end of that game, so we may be watching it in the media room to see who wins between Cal and Rick. But it should be a really fun time. I'm looking forward to it.
We're just happy to win. I mean, we're just so relieved. Get in here. Even if you don't want to go to the game, come to Milwaukee. The fans that have been very excited. Yeah. I feel like if anyone even owns a blue shirt in Chicago, they made the trip, with Chicago being so close. Seen a lot of Chicago fans, but if you're in Lexington, the Moon, wherever you are, get in here. We need it, especially if it's Illinois. But at least for tonight, we're happy. We're moving on. We'll put that first 15 minutes aside. Doesn't matter anymore. Survive and advance. And Kentucky did that tonight, winning by 19 over Troy. Thanks for watching us. Check back tomorrow. We'll do this again after talking to the players and Pope, and then we'll get fired up for either Illinois or Xavier in the round of 32, and who knows, maybe keep going after that. But one game at a time. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Cats.